My Name is Loh Kiwan is a new Netflix K-drama that works to blend social commentary with romance and a bit of suspense. Do these themes mesh well, or does this become a jumbled mess? Escaping from China, North Korean defector Loh Kiwan sets out to fulfill his mother's dying wish to find a place where he can truly own his name and live on his own terms. He travels to Belgium to seek refugee status, but ends up being in limbo with no means to make a living or put a roof over his head. Now, it's probably pretty obvious from the title, but this movie centers around a young man named Loh Kiwan. He's a refugee from North Korea via China, and he ends up in Belgium looking for asylum. Now, along his journey, he struggles to survive and also meets a troubled young woman that is searching for her own sort of asylum. Now, this is both a haunting and beautiful drama. Story, it is a longer one at over 2 hours, but the harrowing experience of survival, I think it's well worth the time. We're shown in palpable detail the frustrations Kiwan faces as he stays in Belgium, hoping to gain citizenship and the right to stay. Now, the story showcases the life of an immigrant, and it doesn't shy away from the harsh realities. Kiwan can't get a job at first, so he rummages through garbage looking for scraps. He attempts to find shelter, but that also proves nearly impossible thanks to a lack of available spaces and then an uninviting community that treats him with utter disdain, and sometimes even violence. Now, the storytelling, it's sad and dour, and I was really worried the whole thing would just be a depressing mess that's going to leave me despondent and miserable. Thankfully, though, the story also introduces small areas of hope, even some happiness. Kiwan encounters a young woman who's got her own set of problems that she's dealing with. Marie is estranged from her dad, and she's also an addict, but she's got amazing athletic skills that unfortunately get exploited by terrible people. Now, the commonality of loneliness and being adrift, I think it's an excellent bond that ties Kiwan and Marie together. A friendship that very slowly developed, it works. Kiwan is genuine and sincere, Marie is jaded and sarcastic, with both of them learning a bit from the other. Now, I love the growth that we witness with Marie. It takes a long time to come about, and many times it can be both frustrating and disheartening, but we watch her return to situations that aren't beneficial, so it creates a mixture of disdain and sympathy for us. There's a romantic angle that also forms within the narrative, but it doesn't fully come about until near the end of the movie. And I like that the progression we get between characters isn't rushed, and so it feels earned. They spend a great deal of time together through several different types of scenarios. So when they can and do finally acknowledge their feelings, we can already be on board and not feel cheated in the journey. Now, something that had a bit of an odd inclusion is a crime angle. It makes sense for the story complications as well as some character development, but a lot of time is spent on this area, and I'm not sure all of it was absolutely needed. I mean, yeah, it does amp up some drama and even create some perilous situations, but some of the scenarios come about in a rushed manner, not providing the depth of development that so much of the rest of the story receives. This didn't harm my enjoyment at all because, the added suspense, it made it exciting, but the time would have been reduced and been a tighter production overall. Now, I think where this movie excels the most is showcasing the struggles and challenges Kiwan faces. Most of the obstacles are daunting, and we're shown the anguish and the disenchantment in his eyes as each new complication arises. There are even a few surprises that add some emotional weight and devastation, taking an already engaging emotional trip and then turning it up to 11. Another area that this story shines is through the use of flashbacks. They're not excessive, but they play at the right moments to enhance the story, providing some much-needed context surrounding Kiwan, his mom, and then the reason that he escaped to Belgium. The scenes can be devastating, but they're also captivating through the emotional investment that's created by watching this family's struggles. It echoes the hardships that Kiwan is experiencing in his present. The family dynamics that are showcased throughout, I think they're very effective in crafting characters and situations that help to endear us to the players. And for me, it also kept me enthralled with them as well. What we witnessed, it doesn't feel inconceivable. The realism and plausibility, it's extremely relatable, making the bond between the audience and the cast very strong. Now, I think the ending of the film is mildly rushed, using montages to illustrate the passage of time and then chronicling Kiwan's actions. The montage is effective, but it also makes the narrative too nicely wrapped up. Now, I'm not sure how I'd change the resolution, but after all the time that we spent watching the character struggle, to have the conclusion executed in just a few minutes, it makes for an ending that just kind of pops in and then the credits roll. And this isn't to say that I didn't like the ending. I mean, I thought the resolution that we get is fitting and exactly what I was hoping for. It just came about quickly. So overall, My Name is Loh Kiwan is a tragic and awesome story, filled with the eternal hope and longing of a better life while staring down the mounting challenges that seem to persist. The acting is spectacular, crafting characters that are noble, flawed, sympathetic, and vulnerable. And while the ending may come about a little too quickly, and some story elements receive more prominence than they deserve, the final product blends a moving social commentary with a charming romance to make an emotionally resonant piece of drama. There is sex, maybe a very tiny bit of nudity, a lot of profanity, and then some brutal violence. I give My Name is Loh Kiwan 4 out of 5 couches. So have you seen any great dramas lately? Let me know what you watched in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.